This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, cat lovers. Welcome to Cattitude. I'm your show host, Michelle Fern. Today's show is a lot of fun. So we love cats, right? And we love to take pictures of them. But why is it so hard? My guest today, she is a cat photographer. She photographs other pets, but, cats. We're going to focus on cats. And she has some great advice for us and some tips. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to welcome Karen Hoglund. She is the cat photographer. She also photographs dogs and horses. And I'd like to welcome you to Cattitude. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
I'm honored to have you. So did I get it right? Cats, dog, horses?
Yeah, mostly cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs. Okay. Have you ever done like a ferret or a lizard or anything like that?
I have. Bearded dragon, guinea pigs. I have a whole exotic pet page.
That must be wild. So what made you decide to go into photography, especially animals?
Sure. Well, I had been a graphic designer for 20 some years. And when digital cameras came on the scene, photography sort of became part of the job. And then when I left the corporate jobs, I decided to go into photography. At first, I thought I would do family photography and like everything. And I just love the dogs and cats the most.
I don't blame you. Sometimes they're the best.
Yeah, I just was naturally best at capturing them. So I just started doing more and more of that, started promoting it. And then maybe only a couple years in, I niched way down just to the pets only.
So cats are difficult. They're notoriously difficult to photograph. And, they're different. They're so different than dogs. There's a saying that you probably have heard so many times, cats are not like little dogs. Cats are cats. Dogs are dogs. So why did you decide to specialize especially in cats? Because they must be one of the toughest fur babes to photograph.
Well, people assume they can't be photographed. I don't think that's true. They're different species, of course, than the dog, obviously. So they're a little more skittish. They're a little more set in their ways. But it's kind of the same skill set where I'm observing, like the same way I'll notice if a dog's ears are back, I'll notice if a cat is flicking its tail and ready to get out of there. It's totally possible. It's just a different set of skills.
I haven't heard that it's not possible to photograph cats. I've heard that it's hard to photograph black cats and black dogs, and that's one reason why they don't get adopted as much. I have a tuxedo cat. Both my dogs that are in doggy heaven now were black with markings. But have you heard that? It's a thing, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Especially with your cell phone, because the auto exposure just can't handle it sometimes. Or it's just that you have them in a dark corner. They're doing something adorable, but they're, underneath the coffee table. So it's really dark down there. So, of course, there's not enough light. There's a couple different things you can do about that. You can put them by the window, lure them up there with a toy or a feather, even a treat. If it's your own cat, you just try to get them when they're in better light. Photography is all about light. So that's more apparent with a black cat or dog.
Okay. You do dogs as well. how would you say what the difference is when you're photographing cats versus photographing dogs? And how in the world did you get the most adorable picture on your website, which we'll share at the end, of a Sphinx cat and this little, can't tell the breed. It's a black and gray dog.
Yeah, mixed breed.
Mixed breed, much of my favorite. So mixed breed, I don't know how you got them together, but what are some of the differences between them as far as, nuances that can make us better? Because a lot of us have photographed our dogs. We can get them to stay still. Cats, not so much.
Sure. Well, a lot of people, when they're doing their dog's photo, they use a treat. That doesn't look as cute with a cat. They kind of hunch over. They look like a wild lion, and then they run off with it. With dogs, you can use squeaky toys. Like I use so many little, like a quail call, duck call, like the squeaky from inside a toy. That would freak a cat out. So I do not do that with cats. So in some ways, I guess you could say dogs are easier because you can use like the sounds and the treats. But some dogs are scared, like kind of timid anyway, and like they might get a little afraid. So you're going to kind of treat them like each animal's individual. So the most shy dog might be similar to a very friendly cat. But in general, with cats, I'm going to be quieter. I'm going to kind of lure them over so they think it's their idea. And curiosity is a huge thing, curiosity.
Okay, and this leads into my next question. It sounds like a lot of taking pictures of cats has to do with preparing yourself. Because too often, I think us humans are impatient and we want them to wait, take the picture, or we want them to do what they want to do. And while dogs are a little bit more open to that, cats are not. They do what they want, when they want, how they want, for the most part. So what do we have to do to prepare ourselves so that we're going to be successful taking the pictures of our cat? I can tell one must be patient. That's not one of my strong suits. So being patient is a must.
Well, you're not just being patient, like I'm going to watch my cat take a nap and then wait for him to get up. It's more of reading their body language. So you're kind of being slow and quiet. Like for me, I'm going into someone's house. So the first 10 minutes, I'm going to be like a fly on the wall, lay low, hold back. I am not going to try to get the photo in the first 5 to 10 minutes. If it's your own cat, it's different because they're used to you. But you need to know when to be quiet and just let them be comfortable and when to pull out a toy, maybe a piece of yarn, feathers. I have great luck with peacock feathers because they're long and you can kind of almost use it like you're hypnotizing them. And then, you kind of hold it over the camera and it looks like they're looking at the camera, but glacially slow. Like, I think that's the number one thing I see people doing is they move that one toy around and they're like all crazy and it's not playtime. You don't want them to look like they just saw a ghost or they're like going to kill their toy. They're not hunting. What you want is that curiosity.
Okay, so nice and slow. All right. What about bringing out the true nature of your cat? Would it be their toys? Would you just, have them, if they're into water, have them near their fountain where they play? Or what are some things we could do to just really, show their sweet side if they're really sweet cats, or their kind of, crazy side? They're like into zoomies and such.
Right. Well, yeah, most animals have both. So whatever makes you smile, I always say. So like if it just makes you smile when your cat jumps up in a certain spot to get its chin scratched, maybe that's there's like a certain spot in my kitchen that my cat always goes. I definitely want photos of that because that just makes me happy. That's where he goes when he wants love. So you can kind of think of that place in your house. If that's it, if it's a faucet, like you said, maybe make it a little more interesting, like arrange some houseplants around the faucet, like simplify the scene, but also make it look a little more elevated, a little different than normal maybe. But yet you're still capturing the cat drinking out of the water. out of the sync. What else? Like, what does your cat do? What would you want to capture?
So my cats, they're lazy. They don't jump around much. They have water fountains. They have 3. So I've heard, so they don't really go for faucets, but those are adorable pictures. I've also heard with cats that it's good to get down on their level because they're small. So they're they're out low to the ground, of course. So you want to get down on the ground to take pictures of them.
Correct. That's very good advice. Yeah. A lot of people, I think people are getting smarter than this, but especially when cell phones first came, they would be standing up, take the photo at like waist level, and then, the cat doesn't look that exciting. I would suggest trying different angles. I mean, that's the awesome thing about like digital photos and cell phones is, go a little left, little to the right, little up, little down, back, forward. I mean, don't take 10,000, but just look at what's happening, and it kind of gets your cat curious about it too. You can't lose. Just be creative.
From my art days, I remember that the contrast of light and dark is always, popular for any kind of picture and for art in general. Same for photography, I'm sure, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love shadows. Like winter, when you get those really dramatic shadows at the late afternoon, that's my favorite.
What can we do to create those shadows in our homes? I'm in South Florida. We don't have winter. We have cold weather. So
right.
Time change, maybe shadows, but not so much. So although the snow pictures I see of cats, which I didn't think cats like the cold that much, are amazing.
Well, I don't think they like to go outside, but if it's a nice cozy spot by the window, they'll look outside for sure.
So you have to keep like light, dark in mind. You have to keep the coloring in mind because you don't want your cat to blend in.
Right.
Right. And you don't want crazy colors. So you don't want something like, I don't know, maybe like a gross yellow behind, a ginger cat, right?
Right.
Color in mind too. So all of those. What about movement?
I love movement. I mean, I was trying to think of how to get the sunbeams for you guys in Florida.
Oh, sorry. We have lots of sun, but we just don't have the winter sunlights and that.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to brainstorm. Like, I never thought about that. I've always lived up north. There's always a sunbeam that comes in. You can always close all the windows in the room except for one so that the light is directional and coming like from one direction. But back to your question about action, what I do with my cat is I just throw a treat and he goes crazy.
Oh.
He's very food motivated. If they're hunters and you're doing it in the backyard, you can tell when they're going to jump. They wiggle their butt. They're totally predictable. I've gotten cats midair, after they, trying to catch the squirrel in the backyard. My cat's only indoor, but, you can kind of tell when they're going to do action. You can toss one of their little toys like a spring or felt ball. I have felt balls on a string. That works great because you can hold it, just slowly move it. And then if it is in the photo, it's not ugly.
Those are some great ideas. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Molly, here's your dinner. Zeus, that's not your food.
Don't let that happen to your precious cat. Elevate your cat's eating experience with the Cat Tree Tray. The Cat Tree Tray keeps your cat's food off the floor and conveniently located on the cat tree. It's the perfect way to eat. It's a beautiful wrought iron tray that easily attaches to your cat tree and keeps dogs and other critters out of your cat's dish. A must for multi-pet households. There's a 6-inch tray for large bowls and a 4-inch tray for smaller bowls. Purchase your Cat Tree Tray today. Go right now to cattreetray.com. That's cattreetray.com. CATTREETRAY.com.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Karen Hoglund, and she's a photographer, and we're talking about cat photography. So let's talk about props, and I have a funny story. So a long time ago for my other show, Best Bets for Pets, it's product show. And I had samples sent to me of sweaters. So this person made sweaters for your pets. And I had 3. So that time I had Mr. Zeus, Nikki, and Dennis. My cat crew was small, just Dennis. And so the smallest sweater did not fit Dennis. It fit Nikki. So Dennis got the second largest, then Zeus was the largest. So Nikki's was Havanese, Zeus mutt, like 45 pounds, and Dennis is part Maine Coon, but he's not giant. So by some miracle, and because he is part Maine Coon, I got Dennis in the sweater without getting clawed up.
Wow. I'm impressed.
He was always he was moonwalking to get out of it. But I do have a picture of them in their sweaters, which was a feat. Keeping them all together was tough.
Yeah.
Dennis was really easy. I would not try that with Molly. I would be clawed. She would not like that. And Charlotte is a very afraid cat, so she would not go for that as well. So here's my question. I got lucky one time with Dennis, and I could probably get a prop on him, but forget the other cats. So how do we use props that are on cats? Like, how do some people have pictures of cats with glasses on and hats on and clothes? I mean, I just think that's like so impossible unless they have this certain personality.
Sure. I mean, it's like if they're used to it, like they're harness trained and they know that little pressure around their body means they're going to be the harness, go outside. They're excited, maybe. I don't know. Personally, I feel like a collar with a bow is pushing my limits as much as I can. Most of my clients, we don't do that.
You brought up a great point, though. You brought up the point about pressure around their body. And I just hadn't thought of that. You know, as humans, we put on clothes all the time and all that. And people have different, things that they're comfortable wearing. But you don't think about pressure around the body for a cat or for a dog. Dogs are more comfortable with that. But for cats, you don't think of that. And they're actually super sensitive, I've learned, especially on their back and their bellies.
Yeah, I don't think they would like a sweater.
No, I don't
recommend it.
Really chilled, so I would never try that again. And the pressure around their body, but there is, I think, some truth to that from what I've learned with cats. They're very sensitive on their back. At least I know Molly is. So you would say keep the clothes away.
Yeah, I mean, they may be used to a collar now and then, like if they're going to the vet or if they are allowed outside. But I really wouldn't push it. I mean, you want them to look happy. You don't want airplane ears. I think it's more important for them to look comfortable.
Okay. Thank you for that information and feedback. Let's talk about some special times to take pictures. So, always when they're little babies, little kittens, that's adorable. And, if you have a mama kitten and they have babies, that's a wonderful time to take pictures. What about end-of-life pictures? I mean, nobody likes to think about that, but it happens.
I have done a bunch of those. They're often a good way for the family to get closure. It helps them feel like that bucket list thing is checked off. It can be difficult. I can tell if it's making the people upset.
Let's backtrack for a sec. When I say end of life, so would that be when someone has their cats like older, they know that the cat might be getting sick soon? Or is the cat, okay, the days are numbered, we need to take pictures right now?
Well, there's all variations of that. I've done like the older cat and they can be fine. I mean, if they're in good health and they're not feeling any pain or, they can hear and see me enough or they look happy, that just being old isn't a problem. If they're really sick and they really do have their days are numbered, like maybe they got really bad news at the vet and let's say the vet said it's weeks to months or something like that. And they call me. That's easier, frankly, for dogs because they tend to like rally and look good when guests come over. Cats are just, I don't really recommend it. I mean, it has its place, but that's probably not going to be the best photo of your cat that you have of its whole life. I mean, we can do it, but I definitely take tons of breaks. I make sure the cat's comfortable. I will come back if the cat is not comfortable or the people need a break. It's definitely has its challenges, but at the same time, it's kind of can be bittersweet because it's like I said, a bucket list type of thing. And you can get those like cuddly shots and the cat, looking at you. It can be sweet.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. What other tips do you have for us in general for taking pictures of our cats? What are some just 5 good rules that we should stick with when we're trying to take pictures of our cats?
Sure. Well, for starters, take tons of pictures when they're young because they're so curious and playful and nutty and they're, oh my gosh, don't think you'll get around to it later. When they're young, they're just so fun. I mean, I adopted my cat when he was 3 and that was plenty young. He's crazy. But in general, for all cats, for all photos, I would say the simplifying the background. So take the laundry basket out of the background. Don't have TV remotes, magazines out, like newspaper, mail pile. Just keep it simple. Maybe get some interesting textures with blankets, colors that contrast with the cat. So like I have an orange cat, so blues look nice against him, or even purples, greens. Just think of like what makes him look nice. Like I said before, change your angles around, be creative. Yeah, I could go on and on. You said 5 things. I probably gave you 5.
Yeah, those are great tips. I think that the biggest thing is to be patient with your cat and patient with yourself.
Definitely. And I think that cats have a big ability to model. It's possible. I think you just have to go about it a different way, like a little bit slower, not forceful. Try to capture their personality. If there's like a certain toy they like, maybe you want a picture with that toy. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things you can do. And I think just be more intentional. Just like don't just like pick up the camera and like snap and not clean up the background.
Yes, have a tidy background. This is, I think, very important for a lot of our listeners. What would you recommend if someone is hiring a professional cat photographer? Because you're not global yet. So you're located in the western part of the U.S. So you're not global where you're flying to different locations all the time. So what if somebody wanted to hire someone? What are some things they need to keep in mind to look out for? Because, I've never hired a cat photographer. I wouldn't have a clue.
Sure. Well, of course, everyone would probably start with an online search, and that's fair. But beyond that, you could ask the local cat rescue, like if they have someone who volunteers with them, who's a photographer, who's good, that might be a good spot. Or even your cat sitter. If you have a really good cat sitter, they've been in people's houses. They know if there's like professional artwork of the cat on the wall, or, like if they've heard of one, like word of mouth. But if you're looking at an online search, you're going to want to look at the cat portfolio, see if there's a variety of different looks and personalities. Does the person go to the house? I would say for most cats, that's a huge plus to be able to have a photographer come to your house instead of the studio.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, cats are not the easiest to travel with. Most.
Right.
Cats, not all, but most.
You can ask people, how they handle shy or unpredictable cats. I think that tells you a lot about their experience and patience level. You can just, see how they answer those questions. If you know anything about cat body language, you can see the photos that are on their website and see, if the cats look miserable or happy, right?
Right. Let's talk about your website because you have some beautiful pictures. It's Karen Hoglund photography.com. There's just some gorgeous pictures. Like I said, there's one of a Sphinx and a mixed breed about midway on your mobile site right now. There are a ton of other tips than from what we talked about because we haven't even we're talking about just taking pictures of cats. But if you want to be in the picture with your cat, that's always an option too. But then, of course, you need to hire someone.
Right. Yes. And that can be done at home as well. And you can kind of use a simple background. One tip for that is to use a doorway, like maybe a doorway to the backyard. So it kind of fades off to black behind you, and then you're just kind of sitting in the doorway there.
Do you ever think sometimes with your pictures you just get lucky? This would be very, very lucky, though, because these pictures are gorgeous. But in general, sometimes do you just get lucky in a pose?
Well, you kind of set yourself up for success. I mean, I try to talk with the owners and like figure out, collaborate with them, like get everyone on the same page. And then, yes, it's up to the cat whether the cat's going to be into me or not.
Isn't that funny how we talk about this and then say, but it's up to the cat. We could do we could hunt for the perfect photographer, get everything ready, do all this. But, if the cat's having a bad day, oh, forget it. We're gone. We're done,
Yeah, but most of them, I say that I'll come back if the cat's not into me that day or just, isn't in the mood. I'll come back at no extra cost. I've had to do that only once. And that was mostly because the people kind of weren't ready about the end of life, feelings and emotions. I have my ways, and most pet photographers do. We love pets, if someone's a professional cat photographer, they love cats, right? So most likely. Yeah. So, there's different things that we can do to ensure success other than just saying like, oh, well, the cat's not going to, pose today. Because I have a whole bag of stuff I bring with. Because, some cats like crinkle toys, some cats like yarn, some cats like feathers, and I'll ask the people ahead of time what they like. But then they might be surprised because novelty is like so interesting to cats. Like if you move something from one side of the room to the other, like all of a sudden they're interested.
They're excited.
Yeah. Like it's like that simple. It's like move a houseplant from one windowsill to the other.
Do cats see some colors, in your opinion? Do cats see some colors better than others?
I don't know.
I have a white charging cord that whenever I plug that in, I have to make sure Molly doesn't bite it. The black one she doesn't care about. The white one she wants to bite.
You would probably know more about that than me. I'm not a scientist, but I find that they move, get more interested in slow movement than fast. But color, I have not noticed.
I read someplace they only see like black and white and yellow, but I'm sure someone will send me an email telling me I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm curious.
More than I do, which is great. But I was just wondering, because it's funny how some things it could be the exact item, but a different color, and that one color will just set them off.
Yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe that's why they like one thing over another.
Exactly. And you brought up a great point. When you said when you visit someone to shoot the cats, you bring a bag of different things. It would probably be a good idea if we're planning to take pictures of our cat to have some maybe fresh toys.
Right. Yeah. And honestly, it only works for just a little while. And then they're like, I'm tired of that.
Yep.
You can rotate out toys, hide a toy, hide their favorite toy for a month. And then they'll be all excited when it comes out for photos.
That's good. What about catnip? Or do they get too crazy, or it just depends on the cat?
Depends on the cat. I do bring catnip spray to put on things sometimes. I honestly haven't noticed that it makes much of a difference for photos. They're generally a little more interested in the other things that I'm doing.
Okay, great points. Where can people go to your site to find out more? I know I said it before, but why don't you share the website?
Sure. It's Karen Hoglund. That's Hoglund photography.com. And I'm also on Instagram, Karen Hoglund Photo, Facebook, Karen Hoglund Photography.
Karen, thank you so much for coming on Cattitude and sharing these great tips about how to take pictures of your cat and what to do when we're hiring a photographer. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope you all enjoyed this show. What fun talking to a cat photographer. It's also, I think, a lot of fun for you and a great way to engage with your cat. And if you want just a great professional picture, that we had some great tips on what to look for a professional cat photographer. So thank you, Karen, for coming on Cattitude. I want to thank my cat crew, Dennis, Charlotte, and Molly, for letting me take pictures of them most of the time. It's me who needs the work, not them. I have to get better. Thank you to everyone listening to Cattitude. I so appreciate you listening and being loyal. Thank you so much. And, of course, thank you to the magic, my producer, Mark Winter. This show would not be the same without the magic he works on every single episode. So thank you so much, Mark. And, hey, remember, lose the attitude have Cattitude.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.